The amount of carbon, the chemical backbone of life, is the same as it has always been, through the carbon cycle. Carbon may be found in several reservoirs: in the air as carbon dioxide, in plants and animals as biological molecules, in the soil containing microorganisms, and in fossil fuels underground. Initially, carbon flows through photosynthesis in green plants and algae. This carbon can then either be released back into the atmosphere by respiration or passed on to animals who consume the plants. The animals themselves may respire and emit carbon dioxide. When these plants and animals die, microbial respiration occurs by the decomposition of microorganisms in aerobic conditions. Alternatively, anaerobic conditions slowly turn them into fossil fuels that can be burned for several purposes. But such human activities can significantly alter the carbon cycle, resulting in an abnormal rise in carbon dioxide that critically impacts all life on Earth.
With unchecked carbon emissions that are released into the atmosphere, threats to the planet's biodiversity bring the need for immediate mitigation. So, how does the altered carbon cycle, combined with climate change, increase the vulnerability of life here on Earth? When dug up carbon fossil was burned, the excess carbon dioxide goes into the atmosphere, and for it to be back underground, the process will take a very long time before the cycle puts the amount of carbon into balance. Thus, the increasing amounts of excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere cause significant changes in the planet's temperature and precipitation patterns. These changes pose risk of species extinction due to degradation of ecosystems and loss of habitats by floods, droughts, wildfires, and ocean acidification. And although the increase in carbon dioxide favors plant growth, this increase is disproportionate to how the planet retains heat, which offers more risk to biodiversity. Food security has also suffered as a result of rising temperatures, altered precipitation patterns, and increased droughts and floods caused by carbon dioxide emissions. Crops that rely on consistent rainfall may lose viability if their precipitation becomes inconsistent. Climate change may also make certain crops too hot to grow, leading to increased crop losses. Droughts reduce the amount of water available for irrigation and drinking, as well as harm crops that cannot tolerate the heat or stronger and destructive storms and floods. While increasing carbon dioxide may appear to be beneficial to plants because it promotes photosynthesis, increased carbon dioxide concentrations in plants reduce crop nutritional quality by accumulating more carbohydrates than proteins and minerals, which then negatively impacts human health.
Our health is strongly tied to the environment in which we live. However, our climate is changing with drastic consequences for our health and safety. Anthropogenic activities move more carbon into the atmosphere. When we clear forests and burn fossil fuels, we release carbon dioxide. CO2 accumulates in the atmosphere, causing the Earth's temperature to rise. The carbon cycle, combined with climate change, has direct and indirect effects on human health. Stronger hurricanes induced by rising ocean temperatures, floods, and droughts caused by changes in precipitation can directly inflict injury, illness, and even death. It can also indirectly affect health due to environmental changes. For instance, reduced air quality negatively impact respiratory and cardiovascular conditions. Lastly, temperature fluctuations can alter the distribution and behavior of insects and other species, leading to changes in infectious diseases.
Now, how does water quality being affected by the altered carbon cycle? When CO2 is absorbed by seawater, a series of chemical reactions occur resulting in the increased concentration of hydrogen ions. This increase causes the seawater to become more acidic and causes carbonate ions to be relatively less abundant. As a result, calcifying organisms such as oysters, clams, and corals will become slower to develop and harder to maintain its structures. And for non-calcifying organisms such as fish, their ability to detect predators is decreased, thus affecting the entire food web.
Now, what can we do as students to alleviate the problems recently stated? We can do this by lessening our energy consumption at home by switching lights off when unused and opting to walk or bike to reduce CO2 emissions. We can also participate in large scale solutions like ecological research, environmental restoration activities like tree planting, and by being politically active enough to demand immediate government action towards a country that relies primarily on renewable energy sources. Next, to alleviate food security problems, we can start by eating low on the food chain or opting for fruits and vegetables since mass produced livestock meat costs more greenhouse gases due to their demanding feed production and processing. Next, it is wiser to also buy local foods that are in season since transporting from afar costs more fossil fuels. Furthermore, it is more efficient to buy food in bulk, to use reusable bags, and to compost biodegradable waste.
In order to alleviate the effects of the carbon cycle to the water quality of our aquatic ecosystem, we need to combat water or sea pollution so that several other factors will not add up to the worsening situation. We must put our efforts in protecting the sea life from any other damaging effects. As students, we can help in this situation by segregating our waste properly. Garbage waste can be directed to the ocean when it is not thrown away properly. These worsen the conditions of the oceans. The same applies that reducing carbon footprint and fossil fuels are the best way to improve water quality. For the human health, it can flourish if we take the necessary actions in order to counter the effects of the carbon cycle. Firstly, in order to avoid the effects of rising ocean temperatures, one must continue in their efforts to reduce their carbon footprint. It is also our duty as students to be knowledgeable and to raise awareness regarding protecting wetlands and, in general, our environment. Floods and droughts can be combated by planting more trees, which also improves the overall air quality. Temperature fluctuations are attributed to the global climate change. Thus, raising awareness on carbon emissions and making efforts in reducing carbon emissions yourself can go a long way. These actions that can be done by the students are important in protecting the human health against the negative effects of the carbon cycle.